Good morning and welcome to Boston Outlook. I'm your host, Julee Marra. Joining us on the line this morning is Deanna Dwyer. She is the Director of Marketing for the Franciscan Hospital for Children. Deanna, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you on this morning. And also joining us is a friend of mine, Amy McMullen, who has actually been on Boston Outlook in the past. You may remember she has a daughter, Allie, who lives with diabetes. And Allie, I understand, is participating in the upcoming fashion show to benefit the Franciscan Hospital for Children. So, Amy, welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Julie.
It's great to have both of you here to talk about such a great cause, which I actually feel I'm going to learn a lot about over the next half hour. So, Deanna, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do as Director of Marketing for Franciscan Hospital for Children?
Sure. Well, let me first say thank you so much for helping us spread the good word about this fashion show, all the people who are involved in it, and the important work that our staff at Franciscan Hospital for Children does every day. I consider myself fortunate as the Director of Marketing to really just be a mouthpiece for all of the important work that they do. They make a difference in the lives of kids every day. Franciscan is a pediatric hospital located in Boston's neighborhood of Brighton. We offer medical, behavioral services for children from birth to 22. And unlike other hospitals, we're also home to several educational programs as well. So our Kennedy Day School, our Hyman Novak Medical Daycare, and Kennedy Hope Academy are specialty schools for children with special needs. On an average day, 600 children come through our doors for some type of treatment or education on site.
Wow. You know, I have to be honest, I work here in Brighton. That's where the WODS studio is located. And I've heard about the hospital. I had no idea that it wasn't like a typical hospital. It has different programs for different reasons, and it's good to actually get an understanding of what goes on here in Brighton. So I hope to learn a lot more about that. Amy, again, we've talked before about Allie, but how did all of this kind of come together? How are you here today to talk about Franciscan Hospital for Children?
Well, I was approached by Valerie Herman and Maddie Ponton, who are the two teenagers who have decided that, they love music so much that they wanted to get involved with the music therapy program, and what could they do to help the hospital. And, we talked a little bit about it, and it just so happened that, it's a very near and dear program that comes close to my heart because I have a nephew who was hospitalized a few years ago. 3 years ago, he witnessed my sister passing away unexpectedly, and he was only 5 years old. And he ended up living at the hospital from late August until Christmas Day. And, the more that I went there and the more that I learned about the hospital, the more that I realized that not enough people know what goes on in this hospital. There are so many amazing programs. There are so many amazing staff members. Having to say goodbye to your parents and staying in a hospital when you're 5 or 6 years old is not easy. Especially if you've been traumatized. Like my nephew, he watched his mother pass away. She had a seizure. So you would think that he would have more of difficulty separating from the rest of his family. But the staff there made him feel at home. They had all the comfort foods that he liked. They made sure that his bed was set up a certain way that he liked, and he had special things that he could do during the day. And it was just such an amazing experience. And he's been hospitalized, I think, 2 times there. And both times he's come out, and every time he comes out, we just look at him and we realize that this hospital has given him a chance to be a normal, regular kid again.
That's awesome. So a really nice thing that came out of something that was an unfortunate situation.
Absolutely. Allie is Marcus's cousin, and Allie is very, very, very excited to be able to help out because, she has another cousin that has spent some time in the hospital there too. She's a little bit older, but she also had an awesome, amazing experience. She actually got to go to a Justin Bieber concert. So they do a lot of things with these kids in the community as well to make them feel good about themselves, to make them realize that they are part of our community. And Allie just feels so fortunate that she's able to participate in this fashion show that our family feels so strongly about, that, it's just an amazing place. We can't say enough about the staff, the doctors, the secretaries, the support staff, everybody who's there. We've never had a bad experience, and we are just so grateful that our hospital, like Franciscans is right in our backyard.
And Allie, of course, loves to give back to the community. We've talked before about Allie's awesome army because Allie is living with diabetes. And how old is she now?
Allie's 7.
So she's 7, and she was diagnosed a few years ago, right?
Yep, it's coming up on 3 years in July.
Wow, that was a quick 3 years, I have to
It
say.
was.
But you know what? It's probably feeling like an eternity
It
for
sure
her.
is.
You know, so we've talked about what she's had to deal with on another segment of Boston Outlook. But the bottom line is that Allie gives back to the community. So I think it's awesome that she is partaking in something that really hits home for the McMullen family. But before we get into more details about the fashion show, Deanna, why don't you talk a little bit more in depth about the programs offered at Franciscan's?
It sounds as if Marcus might have been a patient in one of our 2 behavioral health programs. One
Yes.
of them is our inpatient mental health program, where kids come to us after having tried to hurt themselves or having experienced something really traumatic in life, and they need to just get back to a place where they're, feeling better about things and much more stable. We also have our community-based acute treatment program, where he might have also been a patient, which is a step down from that acute treatment.
Yes, he was in that program as well.
He was in that one. Okay. So there he would learn some life skills that he could go home with, how to interact with people better, how to learn how to deal with conflict, things like that. Life skills that are really valuable that kids need to learn in order to coexist nicely with others. So both of them are great programs, and unfortunately, music therapy isn't offered currently in either one. And so our hope is that we can expand the music therapy program to those programs as well.
Now, why music therapy specifically?
So for a number of years, our Kennedy Day School has offered music therapy as part of the program there. And kids that come to school from around Boston and Metro West experience music therapy, and we've seen them make great strides. So for a lot of kids like them who are sick or have special needs, therapists can break down the barriers of disability and allow them to express themselves and connect with others. So that's something we want to expand into our behavioral health programs.
Now, being someone who works in an industry that clearly plays music on the radio, I have an interest in it. So I have to ask, is it a specific type of music, or is it up to the individual to decide?
It's funny. It's very collaborative. I've seen these sessions take place, and the way that they work is fascinating. So I can give you a couple of examples. A child could enjoy singing along to a song, but when they're singing along to that song, they're also reinforcing what they're just learning in their speech therapy. Or if they play on the piano, they're practicing skills that they'll need if they're going to type on a computer at some future point. Same thing happens if they're strumming a guitar or shaking a tambourine. These are all skills that build on strength and balance and fine motor control, things that they work on in their therapy every day.
So really kind of incorporating everyday life skills, even just other good study habits, because if they're practicing, music, you have to practice subjects you learn in school as well.
That's right. Well, some of our kids in the Kennedy Day School, for example, they have some pretty major challenges. That communication doesn't come easy to them. They may have physical disabilities they're dealing with, and music is sort of the way that they can kind of overcome those things in a format that is both encouraging to them and interesting to them, when, just sitting down and looking at a book may not be the best way to reach them or get through.
Didn't Stevie Wonder say in one of his songs that music is like the language that we can all understand? I mean, that's probably not the exact quote, but the point is that everybody does have some sort of understanding and can really just relate to it.
I think for a minute it'll bring everybody all together.
Absolutely. So how are kids referred to Franciscans? Is it through their parents? Is it through doctors, teachers?
It depends. We're part of the Boston healthcare continuum, if you will. So a lot of our referrals come from emergency rooms around the area. We have in our inpatient programs, we have kids who have come to us from the major hospitals downtown after they've had surgery, or they have a genetic disorder, or there could be kids just in the local community who come to our pediatrics practice. I think that's part of the challenge in explaining who we are. We do so many things for so many different groups of kids. But our focus is always on kids who have special needs.
The kids range from what ages?
From birth up to age 22.
So you really take them all the way through early adulthood.
We do, yes.
And how do the programs differ for a child who may be in their late teens and early 20s from a program that may be geared towards someone who is 4 or 5?
Well, special needs captures a lot of different ideas and a lot of different types of kids. So for an older child, it tends to be they're dealing with more emotional and behavioral types of challenges, whether that's bullying or, fighting with self-injurious behavior or social issues. And so those kids tend to be a part of our behavioral health programs, whereas our pediatric clinic and our pulmonary rehabilitation program treats kids on the younger end of the spectrum. So, brand new healthy babies that are born, or babies who are born prematurely and aren't ready to go home yet, who are still on a ventilator, but don't quite need the level of care that an ICU would offer. They spend some time with us, and really rehabilitation is the name of the game. That's where we come into play.
Now, Amy, you had a firsthand experience with the Franciscan Hospital for Children for your nephew, and you just feel like this is the place that can really turn somebody around.
Absolutely. When we first went there, of course, we were nervous, we were angry, we were upset. We had so many different emotions going on because, not only were we dealing with Marcus and his emotions, as adults, we couldn't even control our own emotions. So it was the best place for him to go, and we knew that, but it was very difficult to bring him there and drop him off. And, I'll never forget it. And when we got there, they were ready and they were waiting. There was no sit over here for a few minutes while we fill out the paperwork. They were ready. They were ready to take on Marcus and take on his needs, a whole team of people, introducing themselves, explaining to him, hey, Marcus, we're just about to sit down for pizza, because they knew he liked pizza. They were ready, and it was amazing that there was, a group of people willing and ready to take him. And the way that they worked with him, they worked their magic, and he went right with them. He said goodbye, and we told him we would see him the next day, and everything was fine. It was just, when we left there feeling really good. I thought we were going to leave there because, just from experience as a mom, anytime my kids are in the hospital, I always stay with them. When Allie's in the hospital for diabetes, or if Alex ends up breaking his arm or having, his tonsils out, you can stay with your child. You can't do that at the Franciscan Hospital for Children, and I believe it's for privacy reasons. It's a different kind of hospital. There's different things that go on in the hospital, all positive things, but nobody could stay with Marcus, and that was my biggest fear. And that biggest fear was quickly shut down as soon as I met these people, and they made him feel so comfortable, and off he went with them. So that was just, it was an experience that I will never forget, because losing my sister, who was near and dear to my heart, and then leaving my 5-year-old nephew there was very difficult. But, we did it together as a team, as a family, and together as a team with Franciscans.
Did they offer you support as well, dealing with the issues that you were concerned about?
They did. They did offer us family support as well. We ended up having meetings so that we could talk about how we felt, how we could, explain how we felt to Marcus so that he could understand, because Marcus does have some special needs. So cognitively, he doesn't process the same way a typical kid would. So the team, quickly learned that about Marcus and explained to us how to talk to him about his mom and how to keep it so that he doesn't get scared or upset, and, the conversation can keep going, and different techniques that we could use with ourselves to kind of, work on healing. So they do offer programs for, families as well.
So the experience for you was positive. Obviously, it sounds like it was for Marcus. Can you tell us a little bit about how he felt as he was going through the treatment?
He was very positive. When we went in to see him, he would want to bring us around and introduce us to every counselor on the floor. Then he would explain to us, look, I got this present, I got this treat because I made my bed by myself. This is the rec room. We watch movies in here, only certain times a day. And then there's another area that I can't take you to, but that's where I go to school. So he was very positive and upbeat about showing us where he was going to be living. He didn't know he was going to be living there as long as he did, and neither did we, but we knew he needed the support, and we allowed it. And it was the best Christmas present we ever got, to get him to come home on Christmas Day.
So kind of paint the picture even more for us, because you hear the word hospital, you automatically have this vision in your mind of like white walls and like just, the typical hospital coldness, quote unquote.
I found it to be more of a home-like environment. So there was a rec room, there was a kitchen, there was bedrooms. They didn't really call them, go to your hospital room. It was more like their bedroom, and they could make it their own as far as bringing stuff from home and things like that. So they had a room. Come see, I want to show you my bedroom. And this is, again, the rec room. So it wasn't set up like a hospital, and I'm sure maybe in different areas of the hospital it is, because they are doing, more treatment with different, depending on what the severity of the child is. So there are different areas of the hospital that I'm sure do look like a hospital. But this specific area, I believe it was called CBAT. And the CBAT program was it was fantastic. And like I said, it was more of like a homey environment, instead of like a hospital institution-like. That's what I was thinking driving there, that it was going to be very institutional-like, and it wasn't.
I agree 100% with everything Amy just said. Our community-based acute treatment program, that CBAT program she was just talking about, really is a residential program. So it's designed to be more like, stepping out of home, but experiencing a lot of the same things that you might experience in a home that's functioning well. Where, again, you learn those life skills like sitting down at a table together and having a conversation. Or a kid might learn how to control their anger better, or how to communicate with adults, or, any number of those important skills that for whatever reason they just weren't mastering until they came to be a part of the program.
Now, when a child is placed in any of these programs at Franciscan's, are they placed with roommates, or are they living on their own?
It depends on which program they're in. In that particular area of the building, I think they are individual rooms.
I see. Okay, so it is on an individual basis once they are admitted. Amy, I have to ask you, were you familiar with the programs that this hospital had to offer prior to Marcus's admittance?
Absolutely not. I thought that when they said that he needed to be admitted and we were at an emergency room because we just couldn't control his emotions, when they said that he needed to be admitted, I was thinking he was getting admitted to where we were, which was Newton Wellesley Hospital, or maybe they would take him to Children's Hospital. And when they said there he's going to Franciscan's Children's, I said, oh, is that Children's, just like another area of it? And they said, no, it's a different hospital. And I said, okay, what do they do there? And they said, they're going to take really good care of him, tweak anything that needs to be tweaked, get him back to being Marcus. And I said, okay. And, we went there, and like I said, we had a lot of anger, and we were upset, and we just didn't want to bring him there. And I feel like more people just need to know about this place, and sooner or later you might come across it, but it's not something that's really out there. It just has been an amazing experience for Marcus as well as my little cousin. I mean, my little cousin was in there for behavioral reasons, and she was in the same area, the CBAT area. They did a fantastic job with her, and one of the things that she remembers is she had to learn how to wait her turn. She had to learn that she wasn't going to get something if she was screaming at somebody, and she actually got picked as one of the kids to go to a Justin Bieber concert because she was doing so well. So, again, there's so many perks for these kids. It's just such a great program, and I wish more people knew about it.
And how has the relationship been, Deanna, with other area hospitals?
We rely on other area hospitals. While our behavioral health programs are the best and highly regarded in the state for children, we partner with Children's Hospital and all the other big hospitals downtown because we fit in the rehabilitation space. So they handle a lot of the acute situations that kids are going through, especially when it comes to medical conditions, but we typically take those kids when they're ready to get better, to rehabilitate, to, again, learn those skills that they need to work on. So we work very closely with them, and they refer a lot of patients to us.
And once a child is ready to move on and get back to their regular routine and maybe head back to their regular school that they attend, do you work with the teachers and counselors at those schools?
Absolutely. So family and patient-centered care doesn't end when they get discharged from us. There's a continued relationship between case management at the hospital and wherever they're going back to school or wherever they're going to end up in their community, so that they can continue to work at least at a distance on those same skills, and checking back in every now and then to make sure that they're not, taking steps backward at any time.
And how long does the follow-up usually last for, or is that kind of too hard to give a specific formula because everybody's so different?
It is hard to give a specific formula because every kid is individual and every care plan is developed for their individual needs. It depends.
It sounds like there's a lot of success stories that have come out of there. And, we've talked a little bit about it. Amy, you touched upon two girls who have put together this fashion show that's coming up next week, Sunday, May 20th at Bloomingdale's. What is this event all about?
We're fortunate to have a family who's supported the hospital over the course of 4 generations. I mentioned our medical daycare program earlier. It was named for Hyman Novak, whose great-granddaughter is Maddie Pontine. And she's one of the young women who came up with the idea for the fashion show. So this was her idea for how she could continue the family tradition of giving back. And I know she's had lots of friends who've joined in with her, Valerie Herman, and the whole planning committee. So it's pretty exciting. I think this is the first time that they've done something like this. It's certainly the first time they've done it to benefit the hospital. So we're thrilled that young women are taking the initiative to do something that really is going to make a difference in the lives of the kids that we serve.
What a great experience for them. It's like they're almost setting themselves up to do something like what you do as director of marketing.
Oh, well, you're too kind. Thank you. I feel privileged to work where I work. I love the hospital, and every day I come to work, I'm just amazed at the wonderful and skilled people that I represent.
Now, prior to you working for Franciscans, did you understand what we have here as a resource in the Boston area?
I have to say I did not know. I remember going on an interview the very first time I went for a tour around the hospital, and I had a 14-month-old son at the time of my own. And I was walking through our pulmonary rehabilitation program where a lot of premature babies are being treated and are on ventilators. And I remember seeing babies in cribs without their families around necessarily, because later I came to find out their families weren't able to be there with them because they had other children or jobs or, for any number of reasons.
Right.
And I just sobbed in the middle of the interview. And I don't know if that helped me or hurt me, but I came to love Franciscan that day.
Wow, what a heart-wrenching story. I mean, it just sounds like there's just so many different aspects of different things that people have to face. And, I mean, at a young age, they're not even barely breathing yet, and they have to be faced with these challenges. But, at least they have a resource to turn to, like Franciscans, to make it turn around and get their lives back into what we think of as normal.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. You see a lot of these situations, and you see the families just grappling with seemingly insurmountable circumstances and real health challenges for their children. And our staff is just so good and experienced at talking to them and working with them. And it's a collaboration. It's a partnership where, families really are the best resource in most cases for their kids to get things done, and our staff is just there, to help and support those families the whole way through.
Well, the funding for Franciscans obviously just doesn't come out of nowhere. You have to do fundraising events like the one coming up next Sunday at Bloomingdale's. So, Amy, why don't you offer us all the details on the event?
So the fashion show is going to take place on Sunday, May 20th. The doors will open at 9:30 in the morning, 9:30 a.m., and it goes until 12 o'clock p.m., and it's going to be at Bloomingdale's in Newton. Tickets are going to be $15 a piece, and for the $15, this is going to get you champagne brunch catered by 40 Carats, a fashion show featuring spring's hottest looks, dance performance by the teen hip-hop team from the Dance Academy in Newton, a chance to shop before the store opens to the public. 100% of the ticket sales plus 10% of purchases will benefit the music therapy program at Franciscan's Hospital for Children. The models in the fashion show will include girls from local and public private schools. Nicole Oliverio from Channel 7 News is going to be the guest MC. Sound production is going to be provided by Siegel Productions. And if you're interested in purchasing tickets, you can do it online at www.franciscanhospital, and that's FranciscanHospital.org/fashion show tickets. That's where you can get your tickets, and if you don't want to order them online, you can do it by phone or email. You can contact Alicia Anderson at AANDERSON@FHFC.org, or you can call her at 617-254-3800, extension 5430. And again, it's going to be at Bloomingdale's at Chestnut Hill, and that's 225 Boylston Street in Newton, Massachusetts.
And your daughter, Allie, is involved in the show, right?
Yes, Allie is going to be one of the models for the show, and she's very excited.
Can you tell us what she's going to be wearing?
We have a rehearsal the Friday before, so I'm not sure. I mean, she's excited about wearing anything as long as she can show it off.
She's sure
very
she
much
is.
into, sparkles and girly stuff, and I told her, it might not be that kind of stuff. It may be something that's like sweats. It could be, comfy clothes. It could be dressing up clothes. And she said, you know what, Mom, as long as it's going to help the hospital, I'll do it, whatever it takes.
Oh,
so
that is so cute.
she has that kind of attitude because, she always does stuff for diabetes. So being able to give back to a hospital that's helped our family so much, and the fact that she and Marcus are so close, it really is hitting her hard that she's able to give back to a place that is like a second home to Marcus.
If she's anything like me, she'll find her way to put any touch of bling on any outfit.
Absolutely. I mean, you've seen her pictures.
I
she
have.
does anything that had, she'll look and she'll say, no, not quite right, and she'll have to switch her outfits around. I'm like, oh, okay, you're 7. Let's see what happens when you're 13.
Yeah, right.
She's so excited to be able to participate. I'm so happy that Maddie and Valerie contacted me, and they had no idea that we had such a strong connection. So it's nice that, they had contacted us. And I got to say, I am so proud of those two girls. Maddie and Valerie have just done so much. And at such a young age, it's really hard to do this kind of stuff. And I know that they've had the support of the hospital. But I do really feel that these girls are trying to make a difference in the community, and this is going to be a very successful event.
Well, I wish them a lot of luck with it. I can't believe we are almost out of time here. If you're just tuning in, we've been chatting with Deanna Dwyer. She is the Director of Marketing for the Franciscan Hospital for Children, located right here in Brighton, Massachusetts. And also on the line is a friend of mine, Amy McMullen. She is the mother of Allie, who lives with diabetes and is going to be partaking in that upcoming fashion show next Sunday at Bloomingdale's in Chestnut Hill to benefit the Franciscan Hospital for Children. So we've been having a great conversation about Amy's personal experience with the hospital. Even Deanna, you have had so much to offer on the hospital side of things and really have just painted the picture of a great resource that a lot of us seem to not have even been aware of prior to maybe this morning or having to deal with a personal situation at the hospital. So I do want to offer you ladies a few minutes here to leave us with your closing thoughts.
Sure. Well, again, I think this is a wonderful event. We're thrilled to host it and be a part of it this first year. We look forward to many more years of fashion shows and young women learning how to give back when they've been fortunate. And we hope that you will consider joining us. Again, tickets can be purchased online at www.franciscanhospital.org/fashion show tickets, which is all one word. Tickets are $15, and I hope that we get to see you there.
I just, like I said, our daughter Allison Allie is very excited to be a part of a hospital that has given back so much to our family. She can't wait to get up and, do her modeling in the fashion show. And we really, really urge you to go ahead and buy tickets. And even if you can't go, it's a nice donation. Again, it's www.franciscanhospital.org/fashion show tickets, or you can contact Alicia Anderson at aanderson@fhfc.org, or by the telephone at 617-254-3800, extension 5430. The show takes place on Sunday, May 20th at 9:30 a.m. until 12 o'clock p.m., and it's at Bloomingdale's at the Chestnut Hill Mall in Newton, and the address is 225 Boylston Street in Newton. And we really look forward to seeing you there. It's going to be a great event.
Well, this has really been an eye-opening half an hour for me. I'm sure it has been for our listeners as well. I wish you both luck with the upcoming event, and I hope to hear from you guys soon.
Thank
you so much.
That concludes this week's edition of Boston Outlook. I'm your host, Julee Marra. If you or someone you know has an idea for our show, feel free to contact me directly. That's Julee, Julee, Marra, Marra, at cbsradio.com. That's Julee, Marra, at cbsradio.com. Also, friend us on Facebook, Boston Outlook WODS on Facebook. Get us there, send your requests, and be sure to tune in next week as we are back for another edition of Boston Outlook, Sunday mornings at 6:30 on 103.3 WODS. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.